This program is brought to you by Zenus, leading the optimum wellness movement in body and spirit with nature.
My whole purpose is to get people off of their drugs and get them to live a healthy life.
It's such a miracle. I mean, this is dollar for dollar. Best stuff I've ever had in my office.
Hey folks, welcome to yet another edition of the Wellness Express on the Airtime America Network. My name is Anthony, and joining me once again is my great friend and co-host Doug Whitfield. He's an educator and author of that book, Life or Grave Danger. I hope you have it. Find it on Amazon. He is also the president and CEO of Zenus Global Health. Remember, as we say here time and time again, the consultation is free. We're backed by Nature's Pharmacy, and that journey to wellness can be yours as long as you start on your mindset. Give us a call. 702-540-5668 for questions, comments, and your interest in the best of whole food nutritional supplements. Doug, once again, it is great to be back with you for another show. Always great to hear your voice. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Anthony. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. At least I was doing pretty well this morning until I took a look at the New York Times. My word, the opioid epidemic, what is happening to this country in terms of people dying from drug overdoses, the numbers are out. 2016, something like 64,000 to 65,000 people in the U.S. We're talking about not just street drugs, we're talking prescription drugs. We are in an emergency, Doug.
No question about it. They're saying that we're losing more people to dying from opioid overdoses than we lost in the Vietnam War every year. And I was listening to an article this morning, and they said marijuana and how people used to talk about being a gateway drug, which they show now that it's not. There's a lot of benefits derived now from marijuana, whereas when you're talking about opioids, that's become the real gateway drug, because when people can no longer get it from their doctors, they get it because it's just another form of heroin. People get hooked on it, and it's just so insidious, and there's nothing really being done about it. You know what makes it so criminal is that so many of the doctors have become just legal drug pushers. And I wouldn't even call them legal anymore, because I think that they're in violation, because they're massively writing prescriptions for these drugs because they're being incentivized by the drug companies. So the drug companies are just drug cartels is all they are. I don't know what it's going to take to the American public. Has just had enough, but the rate we're losing people, it's frightening. But, it's not even just the opioids. It's so many of these other drugs. We're the most medicated country anywhere on the planet, with other developed countries, neighbors, Canada being, right there along with us almost.
I want to put this into a bit of historical context, if I can, Doug. Back in the 1980s, right, when Ronnie Reagan was floating about in the White House, what days those were, Nancy Reagan came out with this saying, just say no. And the deaths at that rate, according to the New York Times, when they did their research, was less than 10,000 per year, close to 5,000. And most of those 5,000 were associated with street drugs, quite frankly. Today, that number, 65,000, has gone beyond the peak level of car crashes that happened in this country in 72, past the peak HIV deaths of 95, and past the peak of gun deaths. Does it almost invite now a real deep, debate, or at least conversation about why we are prescribing these drugs in the first place? Because if we're prescribing drugs based on the face of pain and inflammation, there's a big and deep conversation that needs to happen here. Is that not true?
Well, it's almost a trade-off. What you're doing is you're trading off the pain for your life. You're giving up your life to eliminate the pain. What's happened is that it's given a veil of integrity because it's being promoted by doctors. And we've been taught in this whole allopathic system that doctors have halos. We've got to follow our doctors. We believe them. We're conditioned to believe them. And unfortunately, they have a different agenda, many of them. Vast majority of doctors in this country, I believe, get into it for all the right reasons. They want to help people. They're caregivers. They have that whole mindset. They want to help people that are suffering. And unfortunately, once they get through medical school, which is funded by the drug companies, in return for them getting to write the curriculum, students learning exactly what it is that the pharmaceutical companies want to put out there. So the medical doctors are being conditioned to promote drugs right from the get-go. And we've been conditioned to believe in our doctors. So there's a conundrum. We believe in the doctors who are now peddling poison to us. drugs and have been for some time. And in fairness to the doctors, a lot of them aren't that knowledgeable about the drugs that they promote. And a lot of the studies done on these drugs, when the drug companies do studies, they're allowed to do their own studies, present the information to the FDA in order to get drug approval. The problem is that most of the studies they do are totally skewed because they look at what the end result is that they want. And anybody in those double-blind studies that isn't following the end result that they want to receive is kicked out, taken out of the study. They alter the testing, they skew the results, so they always come out in their favor regardless of what the actual results are at all. And so they get away with peddling all this poison.
I want to get back to this issue of pain and inflammation, because inflammation is a key phrase in the wellness community. Because if we believe that inflammation can lead to pain, and let's just remove for a second the people who legitimately need relief from severe pain. We're talking post-surgery, people with maybe joint problems, those types of things.
Yeah.
Because if we believe that inflammation is a precursor to disease, treating the root cause of that inflammation, maybe that's something we've really got to look at.
You see, pain comes from inflammation. Inflammation comes from one of two sources only. Those sources are either compressed nerves or nerves that are exposed to poisons. Those are the only two causes of inflammation, and inflammation is the cause of pain. And I wouldn't rule out surgery in every case. There's times when I think that there's some surgical procedures that are, light years beyond what they used to be. But if it's coming from poisons, which is most often the case, then the logical solution is let's get rid of the poisons. Mm-hmm. There's lots of things that we can do nutritionally to address those things without the need for drugs at all. Drugs should be used only for emergencies, as far as I'm concerned, never for long-term degenerative conditions, because every drug I mentioned earlier has a side effect, and that's because it's toxic to the body. And the body's only responding with a side effect by telling you that this is making things worse. It's not in harmony with my needs. And I'll concede that there's times, possibly somebody's in a major car collision, let's say, maybe being threatened with cardiac arrest because of the pain. And so there's maybe a time where pain medication could be used temporarily, but to treat something long-term for pain using prescription medication, I think is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
Folks, you're listening to the Wellness Express with Doug Whitfield, brought to you by the fine people at Zenus Global Health. Check out the website at zenusglobalhealth.com/information or give them a call at 702-540-5668. Doug, I want to get back to really your roots here, because as we talked about, pain and inflammation, I want to go back to right at the root of where you got your inspiration. And this goes back to the 1980s, late 80s, when you were talking with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Robert Bingham, who became something of an inspiration to you. His look at arthritis and how saponins, how yucca extract products like Optimum Detox help relieve even the inflammation for arthritis patients, which was really groundbreaking at the time. If I've got a severe case of arthritis and I'm not dealing with nutrition, I'm not dealing with detox, and I'm only masking it with pain medication, I'm not giving my body the opportunity to repair itself.
Well, yeah. Well, in the early 80s, I was already working with botanics, and one of the botanics that I worked with was the yucca plant. And I knew of Dr. Bingham, but I didn't follow him because at that particular time we were dealing mostly in agricultural and industrial applications. I was working with the chief agronomist for the federal government in Canada, and we were developing a yucca-based product as a soil conditioner that would reduce the stress and allow plants to grow under adverse conditions and still reach a healthy maturity. And so we were increasing the yield of cereal crops by up to 30% at an application rate of about 5 or 6 ounces to the acre at the time. And this is all published information. We did this throughout all the major test sites. Well, we were making a supplement for livestock at the same time. And we found in the studies that we were doing that it was designed initially to break down solid waste in liquid manure operations for hog producers and poultry producers, and even in feedlots. We found that we could not only break down the solid waste, but we could eliminate all the gases, the hydrogen sulfide, the methane, and the ammonia gases. Matter of fact, we did studies on a yucca product at the University of Georgia, their poultry science division, and it showed that we were able to eliminate over 90% of the ammonia by using this yucca-based product. But initially, we were injecting it into the excrement, into the solid waste. We found that it was much more effective and efficient by feeding it directly to the animal through their water supply. All of a sudden, what happened is that we had healthier animals. They were getting to market faster, number one. Number two, the mortality rate dropped significantly. But all the other effects, the associated positive effects, barns lasted, much, much longer because you didn't get all the corrosion normally associated with the ammonia. And so at the time, we didn't know the science behind it all. We knew that the saponins, the soap molecules in the product, were able to bind with these, and the phytosterols were able to break down these gases into simpler forms whereby they didn't have odors and keep them immersed right in the solution so that they weren't airborne any longer. And at the same time, enhancing the microorganisms, the bacteria in the solid waste to produce more enzymes so it could break that solid waste up into tiny particles that would then become soluble in the urine. And it was easy then, without any odors, just to flush it through out of the barn. But my dad, who was an equipment specialist at the time, got involved with us, and he was really taken with this. And he had read this article written by Bingham, where Bingham was using the same botanic to treat arthritis. Became a colleague, and of course, he was really a maverick. He was quite willing. He was a medical doctor, but he was also one of the foremost authorities on arthritis anywhere in the world. He had written numerous books on it. He had several different clinics throughout California. And my dad, in reading this article, he had a bursitis problem, which is an inflammatory condition. It's an arthritic family member. He asked me if it would help him. I said, I don't know, but it's not going to hurt you, because we're feeding it to animals. Sure enough, his body no longer had the inflammation. He eliminated the bursitis out of his shoulder. He started giving it to other friends of his, and it soon became evident that there was something magical about this. So I made contact with Robert Bingham. I would drive down and spend days with him, and we'd go for lunches and long talks and that. And so he really encouraged us to make a product for human consumption. And what we discovered is that he was using a powdered form of yucca, and the liquid was absorbed much more effectively and would activate quicker. So we started making a liquid yucca extract back in the late 80s. And the next thing I knew, we were full-blown into the health industry. And within a year, we were in about 31 countries around the world, just predicated on that one product. What Bingham had done in his double-blind studies is he discovered that not only did it do more to help with the pain management and arthritis than anything he had ever used in conventional medicine, but there was a lot of side benefits, no side effects, but side benefits. In every case in the double-blind studies where people had elevated cholesterol levels, LDL levels, they had elevated blood pressure, elevated triglyceride levels, those were always brought back down into a more normal range. And so he didn't understand the reason why, and in his writings, he just recommended that further studies needed to be done. And so, of course, we got involved with a lot of the research and the studies, but he was instrumental in encouraging us. So in the late 80s, we introduced the first liquid yucca extract for human consumption in the world. Since that time, that's one of two products only that have received both drug identification number and import permit for being used to treat patients in hospitals throughout China.
To take this a step further, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but get back to the issue of arthritis for a second. If I've got my facts correct, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, it also acted as a cleansing substance, meaning your yucca extract product, the early product which led to ultimately optimum detox, because it helped prevent the absorption of harmful bacteria that cause stiffness and inflammation. There's that word again, inflammation in the joints, while improving circulation. Go back to that issue of inflammation and the relation of yucca products. These two things put together are not by mistake.
There's 50 different types of yucca, so just saying yucca doesn't mean a lot because out of the 50 or so species, there's only a handful that have any value from a therapeutic perspective, and half of those are native to the southwestern United States. And we worked with all of them, but we work exclusively now with the Mojave because the constituents it has, one of them is a natural anti-inflammatory. It's got antioxidants. And also the bark of the yucca is very rich in what they call still bean compounds, which are now the big buzzword even in the medical science community. And although most people don't recognize by the name resveratrol, there's family members, part of that still bean family, that are more recognizable, such as resveratrol. People associate with red wine. Well, there's very little resveratrol in red wine. It comes primarily in the skin of the grape. But it also, one of the richest sources is the bark of the Mojave yucca. But more importantly, not just the resveratrol, but what they call trans-resveratrol, which is that same family, same community, but even more effective than resveratrol in anti-tumor activity and anti-aging. And then there's another group in that same family called eucols, and there's 5 different fractions of eucols, and those are shown to eliminate or reduce the stickiness in blood platelets, for example. So people, again, with cardiovascular challenges, it can be so beneficial. It also eliminates any of the side effects typically associated with what they call platinum drug therapy, like AZT, DDI, or chemotherapy. You can eliminate the hair loss, the nausea, things of that nature. It either eliminates them or certainly most all of it, if not all of it.
Again, folks, this is the Wellness Express with Doug Whitfield, brought to you by the fine people at Zenus Global Health. Get on the website, folks, zenusglobalhealth.com/information, or give them a call at 702-540-5668. The consultation is free, and we're backed by Nature's Pharmacy. More from you. We're going to take some live calls when we return, and then don't forget, we've got a couple of other special contributors who are going to tell you more about their experience with Zenus products. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Wellness Express.
The Optimum D-tox is absolutely an incredible product. You know, right now, the supplemental industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't address the cleansing aspect, the detoxifying aspect of it, most of these products, as good as they are not being used effectively. So in other words, you're just throwing your money away. You're just not getting the benefits, or you're getting certainly not all the benefits that you should be getting.
I would literally want to lie in bed for way past the alarm clock, way past when I should get up and get going. I was tired, and I was definitely lethargic and kind of sluggish. You know, my system wasn't running well.
I love to be able to give this to patients and know the various effects that it has on them without the negative side effects that you have with drugs.
When I was retired in 1991, I felt 90 years old. I subsequently reversed all my health problems.
I had acid reflux really, really bad. And within 3 days, I was able to get completely off of all acid reflux pills. And then as an afterthought, about 8 months later, I noticed, I wasn't keeping track of my weight or anything, but I realized that I had lost about 40 pounds. So it's been pretty amazing.
It actually makes me feel a lot better when I get up in the morning. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm not sluggish anymore. It's like I get up and it's like, okay, I'm ready to start my day and get out the door and let's go do things. And whereas before it would take me a good hour to get out of the house. I'd have to wake up 2 hours ahead of time just to get out of the house.
It's an abundance of natural occurring vegetable steroids. And these are steroids that are not to be confused with anabolic or chemical steroids that athletes use. What they do is they act as a catalyst to speed up the activity of the friendly flora, which is the aerobic bacteria in the system. And what these bacteria then do is they come forth in greater numbers, produce up to 60,000 times more digestive enzymes. So a lot of the foods that we've eaten that have impacted themselves, or we've got all this buildup of toxins in the system, it's able to break that down into tiny little particles that the body can now eliminate, excrete.
And one of the immediate results that I saw is that it did help the patients much quicker in their recovery. That's why I made it a routine part of all of my patients, and I actually prescribe this for every single patient that comes through the door. I give them their first bottle, so they'll have it. I have them start on it right away.
That's just part of the Optimum Detox story. Learn more about this remarkable product at zenusglobalhealth.com. Hey folks, welcome back to the Wellness Express here on the Airtime America Network. We are going right to the lines today, taking some calls. Start right up here with Maria from California. Maria, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Say hello to Doug Whitfield, will you? I know you don't want to talk to me.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
I'm good.
What's your question, Maria? Fire away.
I've been struggling with diabetes for more than 10 years now. And I'm concerned about complications from diabetes moving forward. How can your products help me manage, or better yet, set me towards reversing my diabetes, which is my ultimate goal?
Okay, well, that's a great question, Maria. First, let me just ask you, I have to assume that we're talking about type 2 diabetes.
Type 2, yes.
Okay. Well, first off, and your question is a good one. I'll just start off by saying our products can't cure. Only your body has that innate intelligence, that ability to heal, to restore the body back to where it should be. But in order to do that, does require tools to work with. And so what we do is we supply the body with tools that it generally lacks in order to be able to restore balance, because type 2 diabetes is just an imbalance in the system. And once we restore balance, all the symptoms of that challenge are gone. You eliminate them. You restore balance. You eliminate the disease. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so how we do that is I would recommend, there's a couple of products that we have that I would advocate for you. And if you go on our website and you look at some of the videos, there's a video on there by a Mark Fox. It's called Requiem. I think it's called Requiem of a Diabetic. And it's his personal testimonial. He had been on a lot of drugs and that for type 2 diabetes over an extensive period of time. And fortunately, we put him on a protocol of supplements, and within a very short period of time, he no longer needed any of the other ones. There was no symptoms showing of the diabetes at all. The one would be the Optimum D-tox. That would be your key product that I'd refer you to, because it's the strongest adaptogen in the herbal world. An adaptogen is something in nature that can restore balance or eliminate the factors associated with stress. And the stress condition of any of these challenges is just too many toxins in the system. The poisons accumulate faster than the normal organs of detoxification can eliminate them, so they have side effects. So Optimum Detox works primarily in the gut to detoxify the gut. So it has what they call phytosterols in there that are able to enhance the activity of the friendly aerobic bacteria, causing them to produce come forth in greater numbers and producing many times, 60,000, up to 60,000 times more enzymes. And these enzymes can then increased enzyme capacity are able to more effectively break down this accumulated waste in the gut that's typically the precursor to things like type 2 diabetes. At the same time, it's got a natural cleansing agent, a soap in there, surfactant wetting agent called saponins, so it makes for absorption of nutrients much easier. So two things happen. Number one, we get rid of the cause of most of these degenerative chronic conditions. Number two, we now put the body in better posture where it can absorb the nutrients it needs in order to restore the balance. The other product that I would recommend would be a product that we make called a Seniac, and that's simply just made into a little tea that you take at night. It's very alkaline in nature, and all healing is done in an alkaline environment. So combined with the Optimum Detox, its efficacy is increased by about 4 times. So it's a combination of these two products. The Seniac, the herbal tea, is able to work on the lymphatics and help take away any toxins of that are in the bloodstream, in the lymphatic system. Am I making sense to you?
Yes. So what you're saying also is I'm also concerned about my cardiovascular health and my liver health.
Well, again, these products all come directly from nature's pharmacy. So nature is the only one that knows how to synergistically blending all of these nutrients into a molecular form that are 100% bioavailable. You see, the problem with prescription medication, they're synthetics, either that or they're isolates, and neither of which are recognized as food for the body and can't be used properly as tools to effectively help with the healing process. You know, every prescription drug comes with a side effect, and the side effect oftentimes is more insidious than the original challenge. Some of these drugs can cause death. I mean, we're losing over 200,000 people a year to the side effects associated with prescription medication. So anytime you can get something directly from nature that has all the constituents that can help restore balance in the body, you're much farther ahead.
Do we get your question answered there, Maria?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Make sure you give us a call at 702-540-5668. Get those products that Doug recommended, Optimum Detox, and, of course, Asceniac Herbal Tea. Yes. You call us again, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Folks, again, you're listening to the Wellness Express here on the Airtime America Network. Doug, if I can, while I have you here on the line, you mentioned drugs. You mentioned also issues with diabetes. When we're talking the medications that diabetic patients take, what is the long-term effect? Is there a long-term effect associated with those medications? Or is it just like any other medication? They all come with side effects. They all come with their risks and dangers.
Well, they're toxic to the body. They're not food for the body. They're toxic to the body. The side effects are simply the body's wisdom telling you that that's not in harmony with its needs. Now, heart disease is probably the number one killer in the world. Cancer is number two, but quickly catching up. One of the products that we make, and it's a unique product that we developed, that all the in-house clinical studies on, it's a product called Power. POWRE, and that stands for Proprietary Optimum Watermelon Rind Extract. So this is a product that we extract from the rind of the watermelon. And we take the rind and we actually concentrate it, because watermelon rind is the richest natural known source of an amino acid that the body requires, and that's called citrulline, because the body converts citrulline to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of nature's great dilators. It's necessary. It's critical in the body. Matter of fact, the people that determined its value wrote a paper on it, published it, won a Nobel Prize because of the value associated with having NO in the body as a dilator, because it relaxes blood vessels, so it's able to increase blood and oxygen flow through all the capillaries, through the veins, through the arteries in the body. So right away, people with challenges like high blood pressure, that can be lowered almost immediately. You take people with clogged arteries, all of these things. And the thing about nitric oxide, by increasing blood flow and oxygen flow, it also dissipates the lactic acid, ammonia, and carbon dioxide that builds up in the system, which are toxins. Consequently, professional athletes, their recovery time is shortened significantly. So we've had a great success with professional athletes now using our product called Power. The other thing is that we've got medical doctors that are using it with patients, male patients with ED, because it enhances the libido, both male and female, by increasing blood flow to the genitalia. And that's a big thing. There's literally millions and millions of dollars being spent from men, especially, as they get more birthdays, and they have a little more difficult time in that arena.
Folks, once again, you're listening to the Wellness Express here on the Airtime America Network. Before we take the next break, we've got two very important testimonials you should hear. One on Optimum Detox and another on a plethora of Zenus products. Stay tuned for that. And when we return, we're going to talk more about host resistance here on the Wellness Express.
Toxins create disease. They are everywhere. In our food. In the air we breathe. In our homes. At our places of work.
Heavy metals accumulate in our systems every day, causing numerous health problems that can seriously impact every major organ in our bodies.
Once toxic heavy metals have entered our bodies, they are stored in our organs, tissues, and bones.
We also know that metal toxicity is often derived from all kinds of environmental threats, from medications or in the course of work or play. But no matter the origin, studies now show that heavy metals in the body may be implicated to Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, behavioral problems, kidney dysfunction, epilepsy, and even paralysis.
Are you toxic? The answer is yes. We are all toxic.
So this is precisely why you should be looking at whole food formulas such as chelate as a low-risk prevention alternative. Take a moment to consider your lifestyle, to consider your exposure to heavy metal toxins at home, at your workplace, and in your everyday life. So what do you need to know about lead, aluminum, and mercury in your environment? Well, actually, it's plenty.
Our bodies can't eliminate them without help.
Toxins create disease, we all know that, but heavy metal toxins are now directly linked again to Parkinson's, MS, all forms of cancer, and a host of other degenerative and neurological disorders.
But now, you can do something about it.
And that's precisely where chelate comes in. So make it your first choice whole food supplement to remove these elements.
Start detoxing today.
Detoxify with Chelate, the strongest whole food detoxifying agent for heavy metals. Take the first step in destroying this silent killer today.
I had acid reflux really, really bad. And within 3 days, I was able to get completely off of all acid reflux pills. And then as an afterthought, about 8 months later, I noticed, I wasn't keeping track of my weight or anything, but I realized that I had lost about 40 pounds. So it's been pretty amazing.
Welcome back to the Wellness Express. My name is Anthony, and joining me on the Host Resistance Hotline, brought to you by the fine people at Zenus HQ. Get on the line at 702-540-5668 and do it now. That's right, get the detox formula endorsed by more doctors and naturopaths on the market today. Joining me for a moment here on the hotline is Karen from Las Vegas. Karen, welcome to the show. Tell us what brought you to Zenus and Optimum Detox.
Well, it was through a friend, so it's like the fellow that runs the company he's extremely knowledgeable. It's wonderful to listen to him. He's just amazing. And I had a question about detox and whether detox was necessary in order for you to assimilate vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. Would your body assimilate them if it was full of toxins? And he basically indicated that no, it wouldn't. You need to detoxify your body so that you can assimilate all the good stuff that you spend oodles and gobs of money on. So that's what I did. And I've never been this healthy before. This is my optimum period of health. And it's cute because it's Optimum Detox.
So when you came to the conclusion that detox was for you, Karen, that you had to start using Optimum Detox, what delivered you to this solution? Because you look like you're in great health.
Well, thanks. That's nice of you. I went for detox because I was on a ship and there was nothing to do, and I listened to a lecture and they talked about detox, and I didn't know whether it was true or false because they were trying to sell a product. Whatever they said was in an effort to sell their product. So when I found someone that seemed knowledgeable and I talked to Doug, he kind of validated some of the things that they said, but he wasn't trying to sell his product. He just gave me a bottle of it. So I was sampled. I tested the sample. It seemed to be beneficial to me, so I bought more, and the more I used it, the more beneficial it was. So it was a win-win thing.
Walk me through that final decision process, because most people wait for something to erode before reaching for something like detox. What made Optimum Detox so compelling for you?
It's really simple. If you spend a lot of money on vitamins and you aren't detoxed, you're wasting your money on the vitamins because your body won't assimilate them. You have to get rid of the toxins in order for the good stuff to be assimilated.
Okay, so now you've been taking Optimum Detox for a period of time. Clearly, you had some expectations, but were there other benefits that emerged that perhaps you didn't expect?
Digestion. I had an acid reflux type thing, and I had to take this stuff called ranitidine in order to make it stop. I don't have to take that anymore. So it's that's wonderful.
That's great.
It's as far as stabilizing weight, it's I had a tendency to roller coaster a little bit, and it stabilized. It stabilized and has stayed stable. That's why I think, by golly, I'm healthy. I'm really healthy now.
If you were to recommend Optimum Detox to somebody, Karen, what kind of expectations would you offer to that person who hadn't taken this product before?
Well, first of all, I think that it's a wonderful idea to sample it. For crying out loud, at least buy a bottle and take it for a month. Take it morning and night. And I bet you after 2 weeks, you're going to see a difference. You're going to feel a difference. You're not going to see. You're going to feel a difference. It'll take a couple of months before you start seeing that your weight's stable, that some of the goodies that are supposed to happen when you take vitamins, they actually happen. You can actually feel better. It's amazing because a lot of people take vitamins and nothing happens. Once you detox, it's too good to be true. Good things can happen. The impossible is possible.
That's right, and what's possible is just a phone call away, 702-540-5668, and just do something important for yourself. Not next week, not next month, but do it now. Karen, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for using Optimum Detox. You are living proof that detox is something that everybody should be doing for themselves. However, that story doesn't end right there. Next up on the Host Resistance Hotline is another long-term customer from Washington State. His name is Roger, and let's welcome him to the show. Roger, you're on the air. You're on the Wellness Express. Great to have you with us. How are you today?
I'm fine now. All things considered, I'm doing great.
Roger, I want to get to your story, which I find very interesting. I've looked at some of the things you've written in the past about the products. How did you discover Zenus? How did that all come together for you?
I was looking for a place to be a caretaker, and I bumped into a lady, and she introduced me to the Optimum Detox, and I started using it, and immediately I started feeling better and doing better. I lost over 100 pounds first 18 months of using it.
Wow.
And I don't think I'd be alive today if it wasn't for the fact that I lost that weight. I've gone through all kinds of heart problems and so on, caused by something that Zenus or nobody else is going to fix. I had a high voltage accident.
Yeah.
So it caused me to have some heart trouble, and I think this stuff has kept me alive.
It's the Optimum Detox, right, that you got involved with very early on. How long have you been taking the product?
Oh, let's see. About 4 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that.
4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Was the effects immediate, or was it gradual for you?
Well, the one effect that I found to be immediate, and it was immediate with a lot of other people, is that your cholesterol comes right down to normal within the first month.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care how high it is. Your body starts taking closer care of your fat, not letting so much of it into your bloodstream.
One thing I've also noticed is, like, we have this phenomenon that we talk about here on the show, overfed, undernourished syndrome, that naturally as the detox starts to work, more of the natural nutrients get into the body. You don't find yourself craving. Did you get that experience?
Well, I noticed within the first year that I cut way back on my eating of things that I used to crave. Lost a lot of those cravings, and so yeah, it's been great help to me in that respect.
When you talk to people about Optimum Detox, how do you introduce them to the product? Because I tend to think now, with more poisons in the environment than ever before, the challenges of eating healthy, that this product can virtually help anybody.
Well, I have a quick spiel that explains how the Optimum Detox works in the gut. How it clumps the fat together into molecule clumps that are too big to go through the lining, so you secrete them. It basically shuts off the fat that you eat every day. You have to start relying on the fat that you've mistakenly gathered over the years.
And how are you feeling today? You know, you're saying that 4 to 5 years later. How do you feel having been on the product for so long?
Well, I've had heart surgery and bladder surgery and you name it, surgery, I've had it. And I'm going in for my second eye surgery to get rid of the rest of my cataracts. But I'm an old guy. You know, I've had a hard job that took a heavy toll on my health.
Right.
But all the other guys that I used to work with are gone. They're all dead. I can't call any of them and say, hey, how you doing? They're all gone. And they've all died within the last few years. I'm wondering if this does keep me alive.
Do you think it has something to do with the career working around high voltage? You know, because there are reports out there that working around electrical fields can have a dangerous effect on the body.
Yeah, well, I believe that. And I also believe that climbing towers and carrying bolts and wrenches and putting towers together all day long, whatever, there's so much hard work involved in that trade that I believe it's responsible for the fact that I don't have any friends left.
Do you think maybe that the Optimum Detox got rid of a lot of the poisons that had built up inside your system?
Oh, yeah. I got sick several times, and it was obviously from toxins that had been suspended in the fat that I was getting rid of, and my body had to deal with them.
Right.
I also used the chelate.
You also used the chelate.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped as well, getting rid of those heavy metal toxins that you were probably surrounded by for the bulk of your career?
I'm going to have to do a a refresher on it pretty soon.
I take it too, and I've got to tell you, it's fantastic stuff.
I'm really sold on Optimum Detox. And to be honest with you, that power is amazing because it'll give you warm feet even in the wintertime. It gives you so much more circulation. It's just amazing.
I couldn't agree with you more. I take all the products myself. I hope you stay on the products. I wish you well on your upcoming surgery, and thank you for your time, Roger.
Okay, thank you, and don't worry about my time. That's all I got.
Time is of the essence, no doubt. Thanks again, Roger.
Okay, bye-bye.
Once again, many thanks to both Roger and Karen for joining me on the Host Resistance Hotline. This is the Wellness Express on the Airtime America Network, where the consultation is free and we're backed by Nature's Pharmacy. This show is, of course, brought to you by the fine people at Zenus Global Health. Visit the website, zenusglobalhealth.com/information, or you can simply get on the line at 702-540-5668 and do it now. Get the detox formula endorsed by more doctors and naturopaths than any other. Do it for yourself and do it now. From here, we take one more break, and then it's back with Doug to dig back in with a little bit of host resistance ourselves. This is the Wellness Express. When you think about vitamin C, there is one place and one place only where you're assured of getting a complete vitamin C molecule that is made from Nature's Pharmacy. That's where seafood comes in for a one-of-a-kind formula that has not been denatured during the extraction process while guaranteeing a powerful antioxidant in every bottle. That's because seafood is a proprietary extraction of two sources found in nature, which together represent the richest known source of complete vitamin C anywhere on the planet. In fact, our seafood formula is the richest whole food vitamin C supplement made to date, as Zenus does not denature, misbrand, or compromise the integrity of any of the constituents endowed by nature. So yes, seafood is essential to your diet, not just for its high levels of vitamin C, but because it contains properties that are rich in all its nutrients at the molecular level, including beta-carotene, fatty acids, calcium, iron, niacin, phosphorus, bioflavonoids, riboflavin, and various amino acids. Other important constituents include thiamine, protein, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. So if you're currently taking a vitamin C supplement purchased at your local outlet store, you may find a cheaper price, but read the label to see if you're actually buying vitamin C. Seafood is also an antioxidant, which helps prevent cancers and fight cellular aging. It also helps produce anti-stress hormones, important for good mental health. It has antiviral properties and acts as an antihistamine, helping with allergies and inflammation. And seafood also helps lower blood pressure, important for proper circulation and preventing heart attacks. So just take 2 capsules daily or as recommended by your healthcare practitioner. Add seafood in combination with other Zenus products such as Optimum Detox and Power as part of a daily regimen from whole food supplements. So when you're looking for the most complete form of vitamin C extracted from nature, look no further than seafood, as it's superior to any product in the marketplace today. Visit zenusglobalhealth.com for details. When you're ready to unleash the power, look no further than Zenus for a solution. Whether you're a high-performance athlete or seeking vascular level improvement, this essential formula not only restores balance and vitality, but it's also become an important therapeutic tool for many cardiovascular diseases, recurrent narrowing of arteries, and vascular disorders often associated with sickle cell disease. Ongoing contemporary research is discovering that citrulline, the key compound in every bottle of Power, can also be beneficial with health problems such as arthritis, tissue swelling, immunity disorders, acid reflux, and many other afflictions. Power also plays an important role in maintaining the stability of acid in your body, as well as balancing our nitrogen and metabolic processes, while detoxifying harmful ammonia from muscle tissue and liver cells. Citrulline is also a powerful antioxidant. It's been shown to effectively scavenge free radicals from our system and help reduce a form of oxidation that is harmful to our living tissue. So if you're a workout enthusiast, this is no news to you. You know that the more strenuous the workout is, the more free radicals you produce. So the bottom line is this: unleash the power for all kinds of benefits ranging from workout recovery to helping your system restore its energy transfer capabilities. But power, it's not just for athletes anymore. It's a secret weapon for people on the go. Increase your strength and stamina. Improve endurance. Enable faster recovery from exercise. Reduce joint and muscle soreness after a vigorous workout. Help protect your skin from overexposure due to sun-induced free radicals. Lower blood pressure by relaxing your blood vessels. Support healthy sexual function and libido. Provide vital support for greater immune system function. And of course, detoxify your cells and your liver from ammonia. All it takes is 2 capsules daily or as recommended by a healthcare practitioner. Each capsule of power contains 500 milligrams of a proprietary concentrated and complete functional food that is extracted directly from nature, created by and exclusively for Zenus Global Health. To order power today, get to zenusglobalhealth.com/information or give us a call at 702-540-5668. We've got people ready to take your call, take your order, and set you on the way to wellness. Unleash the power today. Welcome back to the Wellness Express here on the Airtime American Network. My name is Anthony, and of course, I'm joined here once again with Doug Whitfield, President and CEO of Zenus Global Health. Before we proceed here, let me just stress one more time, get yourself on seafood as we head into the holiday season. Get the richest, most complete source of vitamin C to help you prevent those colds and flus. Give Zenus a call at 702-540-5668. We've got people ready to take your call, and pair up your next bottle of seafood with Optimum D-tox to really give your body the kick it needs to set the holiday season up in great form. Listen, Doug, people ask me all the time about your products and what they actually do, and that is really a loaded question, truthfully, because each of us are different and our bodies have different needs. But this is where really I think I have to open up this matter for your input, because the immune system is really a complex thing, and it needs a framework to begin this conversation. Take it away, my friend. Let's get into that immune system.
Well, people, for the most part, consumers, when we hear the word immune system, they think that there's some magical little part in their body that is their immune system, and we just have to make sure that it's healthy. When in reality, there isn't an organ or a gland or a cell in your body that isn't part of your immune system. It's all parts of your body play a significant role, and they all interface and work together. I would say the chief organ, what we call the laboratory of the life, would be your liver. I once had a mentor tell me, and this was a medical doctor who's also a professor of naturopathy, founded the first college of naturopathy, Dr. Leo Roy, made a very profound statement to me one time. He said, Doug, disease could not exist in a body with a healthy liver. I said, you want to explain that? He said, yeah. He says, well, years ago, he says, it was abnormal for a baby to be born with an abnormal liver. Now it's abnormal for a baby to be born with a normal liver, simply because we're living in a world that is more polluted now, more toxins, more poisons. And so even as it affects the mother, so it affects the unborn child. So we're starting to see different types of birth defects and everything. And that's a lot of that, I believe, can be contributed to the toxic environment that we're exposed to. And so it's incumbent on us. We have to do a lot of things that we didn't have to do now to overcome all of these toxins. And, of course, what we recommend is through nutrition, which is certainly a big piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole puzzle, because there can be healing barriers in the system, too, that have to be addressed differently. But for the most part, nutrition is the biggest role, because so much of our nutrition is denatured now. The food that we normally, in a perfect world, we could eat fruits and vegetables. But now the amount of pesticides that they're using to spray the vegetables, instead of letting nature take its natural course, because nature has a way, if we left it alone, there's a natural balance and harmony in nature that it's able to thin the herd. In other words, you take insects will only attack unhealthy crops. or plants. That's the way nature's designed it, because they give off a different frequency than something that's healthy. But what we do is we turn around and we may be raising an unhealthy crop, but we protect it from the insects by spraying it with insecticides or pesticides. These poisons then get into our system, and they become the source of so many of our degenerative and chronic conditions.
See, and this is where the rubber meets the road for me, Doug. We're almost battling for our health on two fronts. Against a food supply that delivers us more poisons via what we eat than ever before. And then there's this institutional problem or series of problems with respect to how our disease care system treats symptoms and rarely, if ever, addresses real solutions. Again, this concept of nature and whole food, can you explain how Zenus addresses these challenges with its products and why your processes, your formulas, are so important in this battle?
What we've done is we've developed a whole host of whole food nutritional supplements that come directly from nature's pharmacy that have been not been denatured in any way. In other words, when we do the extractions on any botanic, first off, it has to be organic in nature, the plant to start with. In other words, it hasn't had any pesticides, herbicides, any chemical on it at all. And number two, we concentrate it in a way that we don't use any heat or anything that will effectively change any of the natural constituents or the blend of those constituents in that. So everything is retained in its total integrity. So nothing's been denatured. So these whole food nutritional supplements are simply designed to give the body those things that are lacking in today's diet that we normally would get in our fruits and vegetables to help support a healthy, robust immune system, one that's more readily equipped to deal with any of these challenges coming down the pipe, So it's what we refer to as host resistance, building up a body that just has got an immune system so strong that it's just not willing to accept any disease to establish in it.
Doug, you just said a mouthful there to me, and a couple of things that really struck me was Dr. Roy's comment about how the liver used to present itself at birth and what it now presents itself as, and then this conversation about how we've used pesticides to remove the natural selection process amongst our agriculture. So those are very, very profound things to put in one response, so I'll take them one at a time. The issue that I try to, that I hear when I hear that evolutionary statement around the liver, over time, almost tells me that if I'm somebody who's younger today, it tells me that if I'm going to detoxify poisons, because there's been, say, an erosion of the liver over time in terms of what it presents itself at birth, wouldn't it naturally presume to suggest that if I'm going to start a detox program and be serious about it, I'm going to have to start with that program maybe earlier than previous generations ever considered it. Is that indeed true?
Oh, I think that now is more important than ever that we become proactive. There's no saying an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Right.
And simply because of the toxicity in the environment today, we really have to be aggressive in helping to eliminate those poisons that do get into our system. Here's an interesting thing. Today, people are not as healthy as they used to be. That's a fact. And it's because of the poisons. But a lot of people don't understand the difference between when we talk about good health means that you're void of sickness. And that's not necessarily true because we have what we call a tolerance level. Anything above that, we don't have any symptoms and we're deemed to be healthy. Anything below that, we have symptoms and we're sick. But so often it's that fine line. We're right on that line. And any little thing that comes along has the ability to drop us down below that tolerance level where all of a sudden we start manifesting symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if we catch it early, it doesn't take much to get us just back up to that tolerance level again, but we're not really healthy. We're just okay. Am I making sense?
You are making so much sense here because, look, I hear this time and time again from people who take your products. You know that little tickle I used to get in the back of my throat, that little feeling I'd get in my nasal passages that told me that I'm about to get sick? I don't get that the next day when I'm on Optimum Detox because I never go below that level because I've supported my body to remove the poison and toxins so that my body can better focus on ridding itself of the onset of an emerging challenge rather than falling beneath the line. I don't think that's by mistake, Doug. I really don't.
I mean, when we talk about the optimum detox, I mean, I could talk all day just on that because it's what we call an adaptogen. It restores balance, and we don't live in a balanced world now. But even if you listen to the testimonials, even healthy people say, you know what, I just feel better. I just feel better because it also helps to promote better emotional health because of the number and the amount of minerals and trace minerals in there that address, go to supporting the adrenals. And so what happens is that we get better and more hormone production. We're just more balanced mentally as well as physically and emotionally.
Folks, you're listening to the Wellness Express here on the Airtime America Network with Doug Whitfield. My name is Anthony. Don't forget, give us a call, 702-540-5668. Get on Optimum Detox today. Let that begin your step to wellness, your journey to wellness. Doug, another profound thing that I want to get to is this issue of agriculture. And in your background, you have a significant link to agriculture. That's where you began your career. You talked about how pesticides and how some of the things that, say, large corporate farming enterprises are using to, how do I say it, eliminate the natural elimination process that happens in nature around agriculture. Let's not kid ourselves. There are elements in agriculture that say this crop is weaker than this crop, so therefore this is the one that will present itself to the food bank, so to speak. Once we remove that element from nature, we're automatically almost giving in or surrendering to a weaker product for the food bank, are we not? Does that not have an impact on what we're putting in our bodies?
It's worse than that, because now we're not only getting the weakest of the species, but we're getting one that's already been sprayed with some of the most insidious poisons in the world.
Exactly. So why aren't we having a conversation about that at a larger level? That to me is so fundamental to our health.
Well, why are doctors incentivized to peddle poison in the first place? It's just like a nation of robots, where we're taught to kneel at the altars of science and pay attention to all the prophets of doom, if you don't do this. So you've got doctors out there telling you, if you don't do this, you're going to die. And, at the end of the day, when it comes down to life or death, we bow to those altars of science without really doing the research to find out that it's all a fallacy. It's a Ponzi scheme. This whole drug thing is a pure Ponzi scheme as far as I'm concerned. And unfortunately, the doctors have become unwitting pawns in this scheme, because most of them have our best interests at heart, but they're so conditioned through their education and that through the process that they just continue to write out these prescriptions and peddling the poison.
Doug, before we go today, I want to draw this back to the core principles here, right? Back to immunity, the immune system, and host resistance. And I go right back to your book, right? Life at Grave Danger, back to Chapter 8, where you basically say and state it, and I've got it highlighted in my copy, the key factors of immunity and host resistance responsible for every aspect of healing and for every single life function are enzymes. Remind people once again why what you put in your body, what is in your diet, why it is so important in relationship to enzymes. I just don't think that can be stressed enough.
Well, first off, when you understand what an enzyme is the electrical, chemical life force in every living entity, whether it's plant, whether it's animal, whether it's human. Every cell in every living entity is simply an enzyme factory. In the body, we have cells creating enzymes. They're all little enzyme factories, but they manufacture cells for specific jobs, all to do with part of our living. The quality of those enzymes and their ability to be able to function the way that they're supposed to is entirely determined by the nutrition that is available for the cell to manufacture that enzyme. And that's why cells are very rigid. When a molecule of food gets to a cell, the cell looks at it and analyzes it completely, and it becomes a tyrant in that it demands the exact credentials. And if that food molecule is not in accordance or in total harmony with the cell's needs, it won't be allowed entry into that cell. So if the cell's not getting the right amount or the right nutrient, it simply doesn't have the food necessary to manufacture enzymes. So we become enzyme deficient. Again, it's a catch-22 where the cell doesn't get the nutrients it needs to manufacture the enzymes, but rather now we've created additional stress in the body because we've got food molecules that are not in harmony with the body's needs that the body targets for elimination, the body has to now go through the struggle of being able to eliminate those food molecules, denatured food molecules from the body.
Folks, don't forget enzymes. They are the agents, executors, and creators of all functions, healing, life, and living. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Wellness Express here with Doug Whitfield on the Airtime American Network. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Doug, certainly always a pleasure to speak with you. And thanks for our contributors today. You know, Doug, we're back again next week. So much more to get into. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're very welcome. Thank you. You have a great day.
Many thanks to you for listening in at home. You can also stay in touch with the Wellness Express by following us at facebook.com/ZenusHQ. Check us out on Twitter at Zenus Global for all the updates and more. Remember, the greatest gift you can give your friends, your loved ones, is the lessons we share about the healing powers found in our bodies. So send your friends, family, and colleagues a link to one of our shows and let their journeys begin. This has been the Wellness Express. The consultation's free, direct from Nature's Pharmacy. We'll be back again next week, and please, in the meantime, stay well. Please be advised that statements made during this show have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The information provided herein is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose nor treat any illness, nor does it suggest or imply a cure for any disease or chronic condition.